Okay. So you probably know this software. This is a Stellarium, and you can use it to build your observation. The first thing I want to point out is that you have to take care of space and time constraints, because at a given time and from a given place, you can see only less than, but in principle, half of the celestial sphere, because you have the horizon, no? So you cannot go below the horizon. And therefore, depending on where you are, you can see or you cannot see a given part of the sky. For example, now here I am in Pino Torinese, where I'm based here in Italy, which is more or less 45 latitude. But if I go, for example, to the North Pole, we can go to the North Pole. And from here, you will see that the sky is different. If I move the sky, you see that you always see the northern part of the sky. Of course, which is trivial, if I go to the southern pole, this no, this is not the south, this is Russia undefined. Okay, let's say Montevideo in Uruguay. You will, of course, see the southern skies. So you will see a sky which is quite different from the north. So you have to take care to take into account where you are. But you probably will work in Europe. So let's go back to Pino Torinese, which is a good place for European, let's say, to mimic European observations. But also the time of observing is important, because when you have the sun, then you have the sunset, and then you see, as you know, that the Earth is rotating, and so the sky also is rotating, and you can see different portions of the sky in the same night according to the time. In the evening, you have a given situation. In the morning, you have a different situation. Also, the seasons are important, because you have seasonal constellations that you can see only in a given season, because at the same time, let's say at midnight, around midnight, if I change the month, you see that the sky moves. So first thing to take care is to be aware of space and the time constraints. Second important point, you will speak probably to people which is not very expert in star observations, but one thing that they will for sure know is that in the sky you can see constellations. So let's see constellations. You can see here constellation. You may be familiar with some of them. For example, you can see Ursa Major here, which is the Big Dipper, and so on. So even if constellations are nothing really scientific, because they are just the result of the projections of stars onto the celestial sphere, it is important to speak about constellations to people. It has to be said also that astronomers still use the names of constellations, and in particular the borders between constellations, to define a map of 88, let's say, territories, 88 lands in the sky. And all the astronomical objects are named according to the constellation. So you may have heard of Alpha Centauri, X1 Cygni, and so on. So constellations are a good way to speak about the sky, even if they are not really something related to science nowadays. Another point which is worth mentioning is the observation of the sky by naked eye versus observation with the telescope. Because since Galileo Galilei in 1609 first observed the celestial bodies with the telescope, astronomy has always been linked to telescope observations. The idea that we have today of an astronomer, the astronomer is somebody who put his eye or her eye to the telescope. But this is quite recent, only 400 years. Astronomy is one of the earliest sciences, and ancient astronomers have always observed the sky with naked eye. So even if, of course, telescope can show you fine details of celestial objects, for example, not of the stars, but for example, of planets, of the moon, you can see craters on the moon with a telescope. Also, naked eye observation is still nowadays as important as telescopic observation, because we may say that telescope and naked eye observations are complementary techniques. With naked eye, you can see things that you can't see with the telescope, and vice versa. And also, naked eye observation is easier for newbies, while telescope observation requires a little bit of care. And I would like now to go to a few examples. Okay, one is which can be used to make a speech about the sky. One is orienteering. We could call it orienteering. You can show people how to identify the most important and famous constellation in the northern sky. So what you would do in the northern sky is to use the so-called circumpolar constellations that you can see at any time, because they never go beyond the horizon, and probably everyone will recognize. It's quite easy to recognize the Big Dipper, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, which are more or less oriented towards the north. If you take these 2 stars of the Big Dipper and you multiply by 5 this distance, you get here. I hope you can see my my pointer. No, the 2 stars of the Big Dipper. You take 5 times the length of the distance of these 2 stars, and you end up in the polar star. So this is the north. If you take these 3 stars of the Big Dipper and you go this way, you find a very bright star here, which is Arcturus of Boötes, and another very bright star here, which is Spica of the Virgo. So this is just an example. Then you can say, okay, on the other side, you find Cassiopeia, which is the WU constellation, on the other side of the polar star with respect to the polar star, on the other side of Ursa Major, of the Big Dipper, and so on. So the idea is to make help people to orient themselves in finding the constellations, giving them the means to find the constellations easily into the sky. Another one is to, for example, to pick a constellation and tell almost everything about this constellation. So again, using the Big Dipper, you may say that it is named in different ways by different people. In France, they call it la casserole, no? the pan. In Italy, it's il grande carro, the big wagon, or you can see also a plow. The ancient Romans saw seven oxen, septentriones in Latin. In Italian language, settentrione still nowadays means north, septentriones, and so on. Another way is to tell a tale. Sometimes some constellations in the sky can tell us a tale. If I go here, I need to remove the horizon. I can do this because it's easier. I can remove the horizon, but in the correct time, you can speak about this tale. You can start, for example, once upon a time in Ethiopia, there were a queen, Cassiopeia, this one, and his husband, King Cepheus. Cassiopeia was very vain and declared that her beauty was unattainable even for the Nereids, that were beautiful nymphs. For this reason, Poseidon sent a marine monster, which is Cetus. Cetus is somewhere here. Perseus. Okay, it's different to move this. Okay, Cetus, you can see it on the bottom left, a marine monster to ravage the Ethiopic coasts. Cepheus had no option but to sacrifice his daughter Andromeda. That Andromeda is here, chaining her to a rock in the front of the sea. While the monster was rising from the sea to kill her, an hero, Perseus, which is here, Perseus mounting the winged horse Pegasus. Pegasus is here, the horse with wings. He saw her and saved her from the monster, and so on. No, this is very short. I have no time, but you could tell this tale in a very fascinating way. All the characters of this tale are in the sky. There are all, of course, other tales that you can use, and also you can, for example, if you are a very interactive people, you can ask them questions, or you can make them ask questions to you. So this is another way, starting from questions that people may have if they are interactive. Anyway, whatever the way you choose to tell the skies, you should not forget one thing, which is the stars and astronomy have nothing to do with magic or esoteric knowledge. Astrology and prediction of future, for example, future events, was part of the job of ancient astronomers, but this has nowadays gone and belongs to the past. I mean that you should always point out, whenever possible or convenient, the science, the physics behind what people are observing. Even if you are telling a tale, you can say things, scientific aspects of things. For example, why a given star has a given color. What seems to be a single star, in fact, is a physical multiple system, and so on. You can, and this is the reason why in the toolkit you will find a lot of information about astrophysics. This is not directly linked to the stargazing, but it is important to be able to tell to the people what's behind this screen. Okay.